Well, here we are on the eve of WrestleMania 28. Last video, I talked about the idea of turning Cena heel to beat The Rock at WrestleMania, an idea I said I do not support. But, what about the other way around? What about The Rock turning heel to beat Cena at WrestleMania? Now there's an idea I can get behind. Imagine a shocking heel turn by The Rock, who secretly teams up with Vince McMahon to secure his win against John Cena at WrestleMania. Think about all the possible benefits. Number one, The Rock wins, so Attitude Era fans go home happy. Number two, Cena still looks strong in front of C Nation because the Great One had to cheat to win. Number three, historically, it would be full circle from WrestleMania 17. And number four, it could mark the long-awaited return of the corporate champion, who could then make part-time appearances giving corporate elbows to babyfaces. Look at all these possible benefits. You know, in my opinion, part-time appearances from a heel corporate Rock would be way more entertaining than part-time appearances from a babyface Rock. So if John Cena still refuses to turn heel, let The Rock turn heel instead and show that spinny belt fool how it's done! Now, let's move along with Chapter 2 of my opinion series on how wrestling has been disconnected with the fans. I call Chapter 2, The Company You Keep. Here's something that I think almost every wrestling fan knows, but that many have forgotten. Something that these fanboys rarely seem to take into account as they blindly predict who the next big star is going to be. And that's that a wrestler getting over does not just depend on himself. It also depends on who's standing around him, who he's fighting. Who a wrestler is around and who he fights can be the ultimate deciding factor on whether he becomes a star. Almost every top star in wrestling is associated with another wrestler. When I think of Stone Cold, I think of Bret. When I think of Hogan, I think of Piper. When I think of Warrior, I think of Hogan. When I think of Kurt Angle, I think of the Helmsley-McMahon era. You know, it's like high school. Your popularity is defined by who's standing around you. For example, let's take a look at Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold Steve Austin won the King of the Ring 1996 and then went on to cement his popularity in that legendary feud against Bret Hart. Bret Hart was absolutely critical to the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin. You cannot do without him. Imagine taking Bret Hart out of Stone Cold's push. Imagine if, instead of Stone Cold feuding with Bret Hart, he instead feuded with Hornswoggle or Santino. Would it have been as effective of a push? No! Stone Cold would look like a complete joke because his opponent's a joke. It would cause damage to Stone Cold's push because here he is trying to establish himself as like a badass rattlesnake Meanwhile, his opponent Santino's over there speed walking down to the ring doing duck things with his arms. There's no overcoming that. You are the company you keep. Bret Hart was absolutely essential to the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin. I assume most of you agree with what I have said so far. You have to put the right wrestlers against each other. Now, given that, if we all agree on that, then why the fuck was Eric Young TV champion? Why the fuck was Brian Kendrick X Division champion? By putting the titles on these goofballs, you're only setting the stage for ineffective wrestling pushes because now high potential wrestlers like Austin Aries have to go through them to become champion. Brian Kendrick has no business being in the ring with someone like Austin Aries. He is one of the biggest jobber-looking wrestlers ever to pretend to be a star. He looks like one of those guys that used to beat up on free TV. Remember back in the 90s when a free TV match would go like this? They'd show the jobber in the ring really quickly. And then the star's music would start. Triple H or whoever would come out, do his entrance, they'd introduce the star's music would stop, and then they'd really quickly introduce the jobber. And his opponent, Brian Kendrick. He looks like that guy! He looks like the ham and egger standing in the corner of the ring, watching Triple H spit water in the air. Why the hell did Austin Aries have to feud with that guy to become champion? That's not how you make a star. You are the company you keep. It doesn't matter how cool Austin Aries may be. Just the fact that he's in the ring arguing with goofball Brian Kendrick makes him look like a fool. If The Rock feuded with Hornswoggle, it doesn't matter how much the charisma The Rock has. It doesn't matter how much mic skills The Rock has. It doesn't matter how hard The Rock tries to make it work. Just the fact that he's in the ring arguing with a midget leprechaun makes him look like a fool. Alright? It's like in 2005 when they made Kurt Angle feud with Eugene. That was an embarrassment. You don't pair up high potential talent with these goofballs. It makes them look like fools. Former world champion Jack Swagger argued with Kermit the Frog and then got pinned by Santino with outside interference from a Muppet. Is there really any coming back from that? Come on, even if they try to make Jack Swagger look strong again, even if they put the world title on him again, it's not going to work. All it's going to do is devalue the belt. Hey, look, the guy who argued with Kermit the Frog is world champion again. It'd be an embarrassment, right? Wrestling needs to start respecting the fans' intelligence and our ability to remember build-up. You don't have Sheamus feud with Goldust and then win the world title. You don't have Sheamus feud with Hornswoggle and then win the Royal Rumble. All it does is devalue the world title and devalue the Royal Rumble. All it does is increase the disconnect between the fans and the product. Stay tuned for Chapter 3, where I talk about the management of the title belts in wrestling.